Hello and welcome to Phantom Forces Weapon Spotlight, a series where I give a more subdued and informative look on the weapons of Phantom Forces. In this episode, I'll be covering the AK74. The AK74 is an assault rifle unlocked at rank, 74. It deals 34 damage up to 70 studs and falls off to 23 damage by 150 studs. It fires at 650 RPM with a standard 1x body multiplier and 1.4x head multiplier. The muzzle velocity is also at standard 2500 studs per second, and it has a 1 stud penetration depth. Here is the shots to kill table. The recoil is around low to medium, and it holds 30 rounds in a magazine and 120 rounds in reserve of 5.45 by 39mm rounds. The reload speed is 2.5 seconds and the empty reload speed is 3.3 seconds. The walk speed is 14 and it has a relatively fast 15 aim speed. The AK74 is a pretty standard assault rifle really, but it has some pretty good stats. The damage and range is really good. Being able to 3-shot kill up to 70 studs is great, as assault rifles usually operate fine up to around 100 studs anyway. Adding on to that, the AK74's recoil is rather low and the shot grouping is actually really small, so it could potentially compete beyond medium range and into long range. The only downside to this weapon is that the fire rate is a bit on the slow side, so it's not the best for close range, but it's still completely doable. Overall, the AK74 excels at medium range, while still also being pretty good at close and long ranges. In my opinion, it's easy to use and it's one of the best all-rounder guns in the game. Unfortunately, the unlock rank is a bit high, and there's not really much else to say about it. The AK74, it's a pretty boring weapon that just so happens to be really good at what it does. Solid A tier weapon. The AK74 doesn't have any notable conversions aside from the standard ones, so we'll move directly onto attachments. Short barrel increases your maximum damage range, walk speed and aim speed, while reducing your minimum damage range, your muzzle velocity, and increasing your hipfire recoil. I'm not gonna go into a full shots to kill table here, but short barrel on the AK74 increases your 3-shot kill range by 7 studs, but you do lose a bit of range beyond that. I do recommend this though. I think the extra 7 studs you get is really nice, and usually when you use an AI, you play around like 50 to 70 studs anyway, so you're not losing out on much. The walk speed increase is a nice bonus as well. It's pretty neat. And also, be mindful of when you're watching this video and check for any pinned comments. As of the making of this video, short barrel is getting changed soon, and it's going to be quite different from what I just described. Removing or retracting the stock increases your handling speed in general, but decreases your recoil recovery and increases your Z recoil displacement. Getting rid of the stock isn't a bad choice on the AK74. You get a pretty sizable speed buff. The AK74 itself already has pretty low Z displacement, so the increase is very minor. The recoil recovery might be an issue for some people though. The gun does feel a little worse when you remove the stock, but it's more of a personal preference thing. I recommend it, but you should try it out for yourself and see if it works for you. And a bonus point, by now you may have already noticed that I'm using the Halbig device in the background footage. I don't actually recommend that. It does pretty much nullify your vertical recoil, but the overall shot grouping it's pretty bad, especially without the stock. If you want to use it, sure, try it out for yourself. It sort of works, but if you really want to reduce vertical recoil for some reason, use the muzzle brake, it's much more viable. Also, before I get into the outro and the background footage build, this is the build that I would normally be using, without the Halbig device. And that concludes this episode of Phantom Forces Weapon Spotlight. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it helps a lot. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.